today with Philip and I. Let's get our introductions out of the way. I guess I'm Cory with Lubbock Consulting.
And I'm Philip Robb with Robb Technology Group.
And then go ahead and if you go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Dylan Moore. I'm the sales director at Pecan Ridge, and I'm really happy to be here today, guys. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
That is awesome.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you with us because we see all of the things that you're doing on Facebook and social media. We kind of want to dig a little bit behind the curtain and see kind of what's going on, with the business. And, obviously Philip is a pistachio fan, but I personally
what? You didn't tell me. I don't even know. Okay, I'll do it, man. But honestly, just because I love you, Cory. I almost walked out on that one.
No, I think we're
I'm not a pistachio fan. It has been probably like 5 years since I've had pistachios. I had some.
That's the right answer, by the way.
Yeah, and we'll dig behind that and why you're not a fan of pistachios today, hopefully. And so why don't you go ahead and kind of tell us about Pecan Ridge and what you guys are doing out there?
Yeah, Pecan Ridge. So if you hear my quick overview at any of the networking groups I'm in, you hear me say Lubbock's favorite gift store since 1995. But that's actually not the whole story. We actually started as an independent pecan sheller. And independent basically just means small time, not huge factory. It started with a 5,000 square foot building. Vicky and John Joe, husband and wife, bought the business, turned a 50 customer business into a 10,000 customer business, expanded that 5,000 square foot building into a 1 acre property, and implemented a small gift store as well. So that was a really, really cool story that Pecan Ridge has started with. And then where I come into being with it is Chris Baldock, the owner now, took it over in 2018, December 27th. I came on 2 days after him. And basically, we just wanted to take the Pecan Ridge story and expand it. We expanded the gift store, kind of expanded some of the things we do in the community, and also kept our focus on the shelling because honestly, that's our bread and butter. So that's kind of Pecan Ridge in a nutshell.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
So Dylan, what are your primary products for the people that have never heard of Pecan Ridge?
So you guys have never heard of Pecan Ridge. Obviously, our primary product is the pecan, and you might notice I'm wearing a jersey right now because I know, right? Spoiler alert. Pecans are actually the 7th heart healthiest food in the world. That means of all edible things known to man ever, pecans are number 7. So that's why I'm wearing this today. So pecans are definitely by far our number 1 product, but we actually do a lot with the local community as well. So if you've heard me talk about Pecan Ridge, you know that we feature local entrepreneurs here in Lubbock. So our product necessarily isn't one specifically. It's rather telling entrepreneurial stories here in town. So we have a whole bunch of things like bow ties made here, pet treats made here, a whole bunch of stuff. So it's not one specific product outside the pecan. It's really a whole bunch of collective stories.
Yeah, that's super awesome. I think, just kind of watching from the outside, I see that, you do a lot of collaborations and a lot of recognizing the community leaders and the business owners around the community. I think that's really special, and that's kind of a unique thing that you could be just a pecan shelling business, or you could do all of the things that you do. And I think that is that's kind of a really key and important thing that somebody's got to do it, and you guys have picked up the torch and run with it. So
I really appreciate that. And actually, it's kind of that we have been blessed with this because the revenue we generate with the pecans kind of allow us to do things that a normal gift store, a normal retail environment wouldn't be able to do. Just to kind of give a metaphor, the pecan shelling is basically the cloud services of our Amazon, and everything else is the everything else, if that kind of makes sense. So we're kind of blessed to be able to do some things that most retail brick and mortar aren't able to do.
Yeah, that's super awesome, and I love it. So tell us about, we're in the middle of kind of a pandemic, as they call it, and we kind of wanted to dig a little bit into what you guys are doing to shift and pivot the business and the marketing and the sales during this time, because a lot of places the doors are closed, but you can do deliveries and things like that. What are you guys doing to pivot?
Yeah, and actually, this has kind of hit us where it hurt, because I know I just said that the pecans make the money, but the gift store is our cash flow, and I know that's kind of like a weird thing to like separate, but yeah, the gift store is our cash flow. So when that went to revenue zero, like overnight, that was a big an alarm bell for us. So we had to pivot, and we had to pivot fast. Thankfully, we had been redoing our website, and we had that in the works for a while. It was actually due to launch May 1st, but we kind of hunkered down for a few days and got like a couple months of work done in a few days. So I really appreciate and thank my team for that. But that was a big part of it, is getting a new website that was easier, that was more streamlined, and that customers could really navigate. The other thing was also offering delivery, of course, because people still want to eat. They still want their favorite Pecan Ridge salsa. Just because they can't get out doesn't mean you can't make sales, is what my belief is right now. And then, of course, we're a gift store. So people are feeling alone. People are feeling isolated. Hello, this is our time to step up and really come to the plate here. We put together some care packages. So if you do have like an elderly family member or someone that's feeling alone or isolated, they can just have something show up at their door that reminds them that someone's thinking about them. And it really does brighten their day.
Man, that is a fantastic pivot you did with that business. To sit there and, I mean, just the idea of like, hey, everyone's stuck at their home and everyone's lonely, basically. If something showed up and it was like, hey, somebody sent you, no matter what it is, a gift, just a little tidbit to like go, hey, someone's thinking of you. That is brilliant.
Exactly. And even if it only takes 10 seconds to open, that's 10 seconds you weren't thinking about all this mess. And that's 10 seconds you would have been thinking about this mess if that wouldn't have arrived. And even if it's just that 10 seconds, we're happy to be a part of that.
So there's a lot of businesses that obviously are in the same situation. They're sitting there going, geez, COVID-19's killing me.
Yes.
Can you offer some advice that would kind of be like widespread across industries? Obviously you came up with a fantastic solution. How did you get there?
So I might be totally wrong. So disclaimer, I never went to school for business, so I might be totally wrong in everything I'm about to say. But I'm under the mindset that businesses basically have two options right now. Number one, you can pivot and make your business COVID friendly and figure out where in this black swan economy your business fits in and how you can rearrange your catalog or your product line to fit the marketplace. Or two, completely shut down, stop everything, stop the cash flow coming in, stop the bleeding going out, and really hone in on your business, figure out what works and what doesn't. So when you're ready to reopen, you're in a better position than when you closed. That's kind of how I'm understanding this situation. For us, specifically me, I'm not the type to just shut down or hone in and stuff like that. Pecan Ridge just needed to be out in the community, I felt like. So that's kind of why we stepped up and are doing the things we're doing.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. You don't have to go to business school to have some common sense, and those are really kind of your two options. And I think those are very good points. Philip and I have talked about it. We need somebody almost that has almost completely shut down. That was their choice, and that was to stop the bleeding and you're stopping your cash flow. But if you're able to take that hemorrhaging from your business down and your overhead, a lot of times you've got overhead and then you've got production, you've got variable costs as well. So if you take out your variable costs because you're not producing anything and you lower your overhead, your electricity bill is gone, your employees are gone for now, things like that, then that may be the best option for you. Sit back, reset, learn something, go read a book, make a new website, and kind of pivot in quietness and solitude, and then relaunch and explode back on the market when the doors open back up, right?
Exactly, and have a really, really cool and like fun, or like a really key marketing strategy. Like now is the time to, if you are going to take that approach, and honestly, that, like you said, that is a perfect approach to take. The reason we didn't take that approach is because we couldn't. Just our overhead We couldn't stop the bleeding. It just wasn't possible. But yeah, seriously, like now is the time to come up with a really solid 5-year, 3-year, 10-year plan and really be able and ready to execute that plan.
Absolutely. So tell me about kind of, and you may not have a really written down kind of strategy, but tell me about how you guys make decisions for that strategy, that 3-year plan. Like, what are you guys doing kind of behind the scenes, if you will, for those strategic moves 3-5 years out?
So actually, there's a lot behind the scenes that people don't see. I know it seems that like, because we've gotten comments like this sometimes, and I totally understand this. I know it seems like that our strategy is to just kind of like post 100 things a day to Facebook and hope it sticks. But there really is a reason to the madness.
I mean, the one that commented that.
No, not at all. But there really is a reason to the madness. We do have a strategy in place, and I wish I could kind of divulge it more. It's not that it's secret. It's that no one else is doing it, and that it's like so easy to. It's just so easy. It's just low-hanging fruit, and I don't understand why other people aren't doing it. So I really don't want to give other people the secret until we've been able to execute. Well, I know it's kind of selfish. I apologize, guys. But
whatever you can divulge, that's fine. And
but honestly,
I think posting, and staying top of mind in your market with your Instagram and Facebook and all the social media, that's important. But doing it with purpose and things like that, we don't necessarily need to know how you make decisions, but we do need to know that you're making decisions and there are strategies in place. And, we want to kind of inform the public at large, basically, that yes, you guys have a strategy. You guys have something put together. This is the time to hone that strategy down and actually make that work for you. For the future, right?
Exactly. So, and if y'all want a little bit of overview of it, I can like a little bit of it. So basically when I came in, Pecan Ridge wasn't relevant and it wasn't a brand authority. So no one cared what we had to say and no one trusted what we had to say because no one cared. So we had to fix that. So there's basically like 2 ways of doing that. Either like a huge, expensive, long ad campaign that sometimes takes generations to establish that brand trust, brand knowledge, and brand authority, or honestly, guys, just ride people's coattails. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. Collaborations are king. If people don't care what you have to say, go to someone where they do care what they have to say, and just post about them. Do a post with them. Do a collaboration with them. Do a shout out to them, because if people don't care about what you have to say, they'll care about what that person in your post has to say, and you'll get the likes, and it just kind of like cascades from there. So just kind of building brand authority and brand knowledge through your competition. I just don't believe there's competition, but your competition, that's really what we're trying to do. I want to be the Coca-Cola of pecans in Lubbock, but first people have to know us and people have to care about us.
Absolutely.
So I've got a question, Dylan. One of the things I think that is a huge benefit to Pecan Ridge is obviously you. And specifically about you is your ability, everybody has bad days. Everybody wakes up sometimes and just goes, oh, today is not going to be my day. I've never seen that out of you. You've always been able to keep a high energy, high motivation level, and it really shows, and it gets a lot of people's attention. Is there any tricks you use maybe that can everybody else could do to try to keep the energy? Obviously, we can't do it as high as you, but is there something you do, meditation or something, that just helps you do that, or you just naturally like that?
No, I'm just actually like, it's kind of like, it's a curse and a blessing. I'm naturally like this, like the whole meditation thing I could never do because I'm just like way too antsy. One of the tricks of me is that I literally get excited about everything and anything. So just like, I'm just like naturally excited about everything. So it's like kind of easy for me to sell anything. And especially, when I have skin in the game, it's a lot easier. But honestly, it's just like, and I know this is going to sound millennial and snowflake as heck, and I just don't subscribe to those theories. But just like get into your kid self and what made you excited as a kid, or like go to your kids and like give them a gift, or like, just like watch their react, like a kid getting excited, just like try to hone in on that and like, just positivity and just, I don't know, just like kind of go with it. A little like secret, honestly, is the Fire documentary on Netflix, FYRE. So there's a section where they're talking to all the influencers, and they're like, okay, so what's your secret? What do you do? Why do people listen to you? And it's set up like sarcastically, but all the influencers just sit there and they're like, I don't know, just like positivity. And like they all say that. So obviously it's all, if 7 people with 800 million followers that are making $30 million a year are all saying the same thing, you should probably listen to that thing and try to emulate it.
That's
yeah.
great
I
advice.
actually got a compliment the other day because, and we've talked about this, Dylan and Philip, but I had camera stuff and I had the ability to basically do a podcast or do more video stuff or stuff like that in the past, but I just never really got out there and did it. And so I actually got a compliment, and the guy said, hey, look, I've been seeing what you're doing, and, people respond to that positivity. And, we didn't really know that, Lubbock Consulting or you, Cory, were kind of getting out there and doing stuff like that. And I was like, well, because I haven't, and, so he specifically said, I like what you're doing. And that made me feel really good. So I kind of want to continue doing it, So, I mean, it's kind of it's a yin and a yang. You kind of get both sides of everybody's getting happy because you're excited about stuff and they're excited. And then you get excited because they're excited. And then it's kind of a ripple effect.
Yeah, it's definitely contagious.
Seriously.
Yeah, positivity is contagious.
Seriously, it really is. I understand, Cory, what you're saying about initially getting out there and like not understand, or like, hey, I put out all these videos or I did all this stuff, but I don't really understand people's reactions. Like I have that all the time. Like I just like, people are like, oh, you have such a presence on Facebook, and honestly, I don't feel it at all. Like I'm like, I do. Like I don't feel it at all. I really don't personally. And just to like kind of extend that metaphor, Rashay a day with Trends and Friends here in Lubbock. One time I was like, hey, I really appreciate it. Thanks to you, I made this sale, blah, blah, blah. And she wrote back, hey, I really appreciate what you say. Literally no one ever says like anything, like any reaction to the show or feedback, or we have no idea if this show helps at all. And I'm like, you guys are Trends and Friends. Of course you guys help. Are you kidding me? Rashay's like, yeah, we have no idea. No one gives us feedback. So it's not just like guys like us. It's everyone. Like everyone doesn't like, when you're not getting that, I don't mean constant praise, but when you're not getting that, because we're millennials, we live in that feedback society. We have like the apps that tell us exactly how we're doing and when we did it. And like when we don't have that, it's like, okay, well, this is garbage. But yeah, just kind of hang in there.
Well, and we were talking about that actually earlier today. It's kind of like, why aren't we getting feedback on some of the things that we post? And it's like, some of that's just the people around, on those posts, they saw it and they just don't respond sometimes. And we're kind of like, was that even a good post? And it probably was a great post, and we just don't get the feedback for it. And that's, for me, I'm very self-critical, and I try to adjust the things that I'm doing with thoughtfulness, right? So I want that feedback. I need that feedback a lot of times. And when you do get that feedback, it's it's awesome, especially when people are like giving those love icons on your Facebook post. Like, heck yeah, somebody loved this. All right, so it pumps me
up. That's better than your first beer right there. Let me tell you.
Yeah, it really is. Well, I think like that's just kind of how we grew up. Because I mean, I remember growing up, like MySpace came around, right at the time I was in like high school, I guess. And you got instant feedback. You posted a post or a picture or whatever.
You know exactly who top 30 you were in.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Top friends. That was a big deal.
Woo! Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And then you had to make sure you had the right music on your profile too.
Yeah.
But then I mean, and Facebook too. I mean, it gives us such immediate feedback. And then if you're in a job type environment, or myself, I know Cory and I were in the military. They made sure that you knew what they thought. And when you remove that, it's kind of like driving down the road without a map, and you're kind of like, man, I know I'm putting miles on the road, but I don't know if this is going the right way. I don't know if I'm even going to get there. I do know that I'm going somewhere, but I don't know where that is.
Right.
But so I guess your message in that situation is just stay positive and keep doing what you're doing, and do it with the best energy and the highest energy you can, and go from there.
Yes. Do people ever big meta? Who doesn't want their life to be longer and happier? So if you're contributing to one of those two things, people will respond positively. and they will respond.
That's really good. I like that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's going up on my wall in the kitchen. But yeah,
maybe you get Dylan to sign it.
Yeah. Live, love, laugh, and then whatever Dylan just said.
Live, love, laugh, and Dylan. Yeah.
And
So Dylan, with obviously you're making a bunch of changes over there at Pecan Ridge, and some of them, obviously are because of COVID-19. Are any of those going to translate into something you're going to keep doing after COVID-19? That you've gone, wow, I can't believe we didn't do this sooner.
Yes, actually, we're doing a thing right now called Sponsor a Healthcare Worker, and basically like $20. There's a couple packages. You pick your package, and we'll deliver it to a hospital worker here in town. I didn't realize there would be such a tremendous response to that. I mean, like I knew there would be a response to it, but I didn't understand how widespread and long-lasting it would be. So I think we're going to keep those type of programs in place and kind of extend it to where you can sponsor a mailman or a mail person and stuff like that. But I think it was one of those things that really hit home to a lot of people, and I knew it would. I just didn't know the extent, because we have people calling us from out of state asking for those for specific people.
That's awesome.
I think outside of the COVID crisis, there's a real desire for that in the healthcare community and the people who know those in the healthcare community.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I didn't know that you guys were getting requests from out of state. That right there alone says, your reach is getting out there, and then also, people are drawn to help other people through these services that you guys are kind of providing right now, which is fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah. It's been a really neat thing to see everyone's feedback. Because I'll be honest, when I initially started all these, I was worried I would get a lot of blowback, just from people thinking that we're trying to market off the situation. And it was but I also have 14 vendors that need food on the table. I have 8 families personally that need food on the table, and these nurses need food. So I'm sorry guys, this is all I know how to do. So
that, yeah, if you're in a stressful situation, I know Cory and I both have been in the military. When you get that, you open an MRE and there's M&Ms or something in it, you're just like, oh my gosh, that little bit of that little moment of hey, I've got something to snack on or whatever it is that's super good. It's just a break in the monotony, and you're just oh, and it really does. It provides you a lot of mental clarity, gives you that moment. So it's awesome that you're doing that for those workers.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I didn't even think about it like that, but that's a really, really cool way to think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dylan. I don't think you're in the pecan business. I think you're in the oxytocin business.
Yeah.
I think you're in the good brain chemicals business.
I can do that. I heard the markups on farms was pretty good, so I'm cool with that.
So you're gonna plan on doing that. Anything else for the future that you guys are gonna keep doing that you're doing now because of the shift?
Yeah, we started shipping because usually people come in to pick up their pecans, and we obviously are allowing them to schedule a time during the week, or allowing them to ship, or giving us some time and some place to ship it to. I think we're going to keep the aspect where we ship it to people's houses, because a lot of people actually say yes and we get the money a lot faster. So that kind of lessens some of our overhead issues. So I really think we're going to implement that, because that helps a lot of the cash flow problems.
Absolutely.
So I'm guessing if you mail it to them, if they're in Lubbock, if I ordered from you today, that's basically going to be tomorrow.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. During awesome. Now through the end of April, since everything's shut down, we are doing, if you order by 10, we'll get it to you by 1, and if you order by 1, we'll get it to you by 4.
Wow,
that's quick.
Oh yeah. Oh heck yeah. Well, some people got to bake, man. They just got to.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
What would you say is your favorite thing in the entire gift store?
Oh, by far, bourbon bacon barbecue sauce. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I'm not even Southern, y'all, and it will make your Southern soul sing. Let me tell you. Seriously, it is so good, and it doesn't even taste. Oh, it's just so good. It is so good.
That sounds amazing.
Anything.
Just hear those words together, I think.
Exactly. Seriously, if you have any testosterone in your body, if it did not just peak just a little, then I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm so sorry.
Bourbon, bacon, barbecue. Man, that does sound really good. That sounds amazing right now.
Phenomenal, man.
What do? You put it on your burgers and all your meats and.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Brisket. Oh, I love it on brisket. But yeah, if you roast a chicken, just like shred it or something like that, so good, man. It is like so good. Yeah.
Oh, that just gave me chills.
Oh,
shred.
It should.
Bourbon bacon barbecue sauce.
Yes.
Oh.
It just rolls off the tongue. It's just like, woo.
Oh, yeah. What do you think? And you guys don't just have food. You got other little trinkets and gifts and things like that. Go into that a little bit.
Yeah, so when we started with the gift store, it was just one shelf, and it was basically our pecan products and some other like pecan ancillaries, so like pecan preserves, pecan jelly, things like that. Of course, we kept all of those products, and we expanded those things. But we also went into like home decor, but specifically Lubbock items. So I noticed there weren't a lot of places here in town to get like a Lubbock pillow or like a Lubbock throw blanket, stuff like that. So we really expanded into that. We have like some Lubbock GPS glassware that has absolutely blown up. I would have never thought that would have been our golden ticket, but I guess it is.
Those are pretty cool.
Yeah, they are really cool too. They are really cool and they're high quality. Yeah, so like going into home decor, but specifically focusing on Lubbock. So everything hyper local that you're not going to find everywhere else, and that where if you want something that says Lubbock on it, we have it. But not just like the pens and like the magnets and stuff like that, like high quality items that you'll actually use, care for, and value.
Very cool. Yeah, I've seen a lot of the products out there, and and I've actually been in the gift shop, and those things they are high quality, and it's pretty cool. Again, it's one of those things where you come to Lubbock and you're from out of town or something, and you want something that reminds you of Lubbock. Yeah, there's a couple of places, if you go to a museum or something.
Yeah.
But just getting somebody or if you move away, somebody can get you that as a gift and send it to you. While I was in Chicago, man, that would have been really cool to have some of that stuff and say, oh yeah, here's a glass of whatever, and hand it to somebody, and they're like, oh, what is this? And kind of looking at it. That would have been really neat to have, back then. But it wasn't the time for Dylan yet to come into town, Chris to take over, and so I think just diversifying some of the things. You guys are doing the pecans, doing the gift shop, with food items and with things. I mean, that really hopefully that's kind of helping out with the cash flow and getting all of those things diversified, because like you said, your pecans are your big ticket item, but it's very seasonal, right? So you guys are not shelling at the same volume all year long. You are shelling all year long, right? But just not at the same volume.
Exactly.
So I really like that you're a pecan company, and then you really sat there and said like, yeah, we're a pecan company, but what customers do we have? What are they looking for when they come to us? What are they really looking for? And by the way, since we were talking earlier about like your favorite thing, I wanted to say those little 3-inch Southern pecan pies are so good.
Our primo though, right? Our primo.
So good.
Well, and I like them because I wouldn't buy a whole one because I'd feel like I'm gonna eat the whole thing in one sitting. You get a little 3-inch one; it feels a little more doable. I'll probably eat just as much, but it's really neat how you looked at your consumer base and you said, hey, look, these are what these consumers who these consumers are. These are the types of products they're interested in, and why can't we be the one that's providing them? They're already coming to our door.
Exactly, and we really wanted. Maybe I'm like totally wrong about this, and I just haven't found it yet. And if I do, I so apologize. But I haven't found a place yet in Lubbock that really celebrates the entrepreneurial story here in Lubbock. Yes, we have United and we have Market and we have Loves that celebrate successful Lubbock entrepreneurial stories, but I didn't feel we had a place where up and coming entrepreneurial Lubbock stories were being told. And really everything we're doing at Pecan Ridge is an ancillary to get people in the door so they find these Lubbock businesses so that, hey, maybe Pecan Ridge won't be the next IBM, but maybe we will launch the product that is. And I'm so okay with that. I just want a place in Lubbock where if people have a good idea and a good product, they don't have to worry about barcodes or having 1,000 pieces in inventory. They just know they have a home and they have a shelf and they have a place that they can share their story and that they can grow and thrive.
Hey guys, Mike Jones said, "Hey guys," so I just wanted to make sure
How you doing, Mike?
Yeah, get the shout out going. Jones, Mike Jones just said 1 million cups Lubbock, and that's a really great place when we do get together to celebrate entrepreneurs in Lubbock, and usually kind of they focus on technology type stuff, but we have a lot of business owners go in there and do those presentations. We just need more people to know about that 1 million cups, I think, too. So I like what Pecan Ridge is doing, and I like what 1 million cups is doing, and they're almost separated for no reason. Like, you guys need to get in there and kind of work together, and that may be something that you can help out with. Mike can help you, and you can help Mike getting people over there to do their presentations.
So I actually I did the 1 million cups presentation. I guess last time they had it, I would believe, with the COVID thing. And I just want to point out, it wasn't just a good exercise in trying to get my name out there. It was also a good exercise for me to say, hey, what in the world are you doing? Because like these networking groups that we go to, it's just so helpful to have to come up with a 30-second elevator speech with your business every single week. Doing it over and over, repetition, it's like going to the gym. The more reps you do, the better you're going to get at it. And then whenever that really important guy comes up to you and says, wait a second, you do IT services, what exactly kind of stuff do you do? And you can just blow his mind with a 30-second presentation like Dylan does every week. That is great. And it's just lifting weights kind of in your business. So it didn't only help me get my name out there, but it helped me feel more confident with what I was doing and get the practice of really telling people what I do.
Yes, if you're not pitching your business 30, 45-second pitches a week, at least once a week, honestly, at least 10 times a week, I'll be honest, guys, you're probably failing. And I don't mean to be harsh, but like, if you don't have a 30, 45-second elevator pitch, and if it's not astounding, then what are you doing? And I'm sorry, but that's the honest truth.
He's apologizing to me because mine's not that astounding. And that's something that, with purpose, I've tried to continue working on that. As a person, as a business owner, as things like that. That is very important, to have that elevator pitch, to be able to succinctly tell about your product or your service, as well as do it with some excitement and some positivity, and get people on board. It's definitely something that I've put time into working on, and I'm still working on it. I'm still a work in progress on that. And so those 30-second sound bites or little pitches or whatever you want to call them, those things are very important to get the message across.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're giving yourself a lot less credit than you deserve, Cory. Honestly, your pitches are absolutely phenomenal.
I just remember it was actually Mike Jones had put together a veteran business group, and I had never been to a business group before in my life. And the first thing Mike Jones, he looks at me and he goes, oh, in front of everybody, and he goes, okay, Philip, what is your business and how can we help you? And I was just like,
oh, yeah.
And I felt horrible for like a month, and I was just like, and I thought about that the other day, and I was like, man, I am awesome versus what I used to be. And it really has, because I have gotten in front of important people, people that I would like to be clients, and they're like, what do you do? And if I had gone, I wouldn't have got that client, and to sit there and go, oh, well, my name's Philip Robb, and I do this and this and this, and rattle it off and sound like I know what I'm talking about. And it's like, they're like, oh, wow, he's impressive. It's a huge help. And it takes so much stress off, because whenever you got to pitch someone's business, you're like, I do this every week. It's no big deal.
Right?
It's awesome. And then you kind of start feeling confident yourself whenever you get that chance. You're like, yes.
And then you're like, I only have 17 pitches this week. What the heck, guys?
And I think a big takeaway too, Dylan and Philip, you'll back me up on this, is you guys weren't always good, and then you worked on that and got it to the level that you're at today. And then on top of that, you're probably going to continue working on it and continue developing, your technique and things like that with those 30-second pitches. Am I right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's like hearing people like Dylan, just to pick on you, man. It's hearing something. It's just like anything else. You see somebody doing something, you're like, I like that. That sounds really good. how can I do that? You know, how can I kind of emulate that in my own way? And so it's like, oh, well, the main thing I like about when Dylan does his speeches is his high energy level. He's constantly got this huge smile on his face. It just sucks you in. And I'm just like, well, I can probably do the same thing. Let's try it. You know, let's try being high energy and, you know, just practice it in front of the mirror, you know, making a little script and going, wow, you know, now the one thing that really impresses me with you, Dylan, is like when you rhyme and stuff like that. I'm just, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to go that far, but every time, like, you come up with like a jingle almost on every single one of yours, and I'm just like, okay, he's still like way over here.
Leagues ahead of us.
That's funny you say that. Oh, go ahead, Cory.
Oh, I was going to say, Mike Jones said, call me if you need a wake-up call. And I was going to go into that. He gave me a good wake-up call on 1 Million Cups because, you know, a lot of my business comes from outside of Lubbock. And so I was like, somebody asked me, they said, how's your business doing, you know, in Lubbock? Like, how are people responding to your business? And at the time, I think I said it's not going well or something to that effect.
I'm going to shut up shop and sell hot dogs.
So Cory, why are you even here? No, but you know, it was really kind of it was a wake up call on that question. And I said, you know, here's what I think about the situation. And Mike was like, so it sounds like, you know, is that a problem with the clientele or is that a problem with your value proposition? And I was back on my heels at that. And I was like, I had to admit in front of the public that, yeah, it's a problem with my value proposition. Who's responsible for that? Me. So I had to, take that wake up call as in a cold splash of water and kind of move forward with that information and say, okay, well, my value proposition is this right now, and it's not working in this market. How do I adjust? And so same thing with those 30-second pitches, same thing with the positivity, same thing with all kinds of different things that you can work on in your business. Sometimes you need that second set of eyes or, somebody to kind of give you a wake up call and say, oh, well, yeah. And so, yeah, Mike did it with Philip, that Mike did it with me. And, so here we are.
And I also think like it was really, at first for me, it was really hard not to kind of feel depressed. Like, wow, I'm terrible at this. But I don't think you should think about it that way. I think you should think about it. I don't know if any of y'all did it martial arts. I did. And when I was in Taekwondo and I was a white belt, and you're just like sitting around looking at the gym, and you're like, there are kids that are like half my age, and they could probably beat me up at this point. But you have to remember, like even at one point, I'm sure Dylan, you were terrible at doing speeches. And it kind of like that was the way I felt. That was kind of the way I started thinking about it. And when I was taking Taekwondo, it was like all these people here, even your instructor that's like a massive black belt and could totally beat up everybody here all at once. Like he started out where you did. He was there too. So like, who cares? If you think it's cool to be the black belt, just keep hanging around. You'll get there.
Exactly.
And I really feel like it's the same thing here. Is like, even though you're terrible, like everyone starts there. I once heard like a quote that was like, "Sucking at something is the first step to getting good at it."
Yeah, exactly. I really like that, man.
Yeah, and I think that goes for every aspect of business and personality. Anything. In your home. Hey, I'm really bad at cooking. Do I give up and just eat out every night, or do I learn how to cook? Which, by the way, Dylan, great show the other day. Bake with Dylan, or
didn't realize how long it was until after. Whoops.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome to see you in kind of a natural kitchen habitat there. And I think the best part about that was like, if you want to know what wrong looks like, basically, like in the mixing bowl, you were like, this is what you can't recover from this. It was just like, this is what wrong looks like. And I tell people that all the time. It's like, here's what right looks like. This is what you need to emulate and kind of things like that. But, if you are bad at something, absolutely put some effort into it and become better at it. I mean, that goes, again, for everything. Your business plan, guess what? Is your business plan working during COVID-19 right now? Then make an adjustment or fail. Those are your two options. So, I think you can apply that karate or martial arts kind of philosophy to everything. It's like, hey, I'm not a black belt. If I want to be a black belt, I got to work hard.
Yes, and like Rob said, that you had to fail. Like you have to fail. Failure is the first step. It really is. I mean, it's so critical to when you have that, like, okay, I'm going to go for it mindset, like that you understand that it's not going to be like boom like this. This is lame, but I was in band and marching band in high school and middle school. So go ahead and make your jokes now and wrap it up.
What instrument did you play?
Oh my God! It gets better, guys. Tuba.
Oh, okay. I played the cornet.
Tuba. Yes.
So
heck yeah. So yeah.
Brass instruments are where it's at.
Right. So when you're in junior high school band and everyone sucks basically like they do, one of the things you're taught is that, hey, if you think you're about to make a mistake, or if you're making a mistake, just make it really, really loud and really, really big. And the audience is basically like, they won't know. They'll just think it's like some kind of solo or something. So I kind of like always think from that, like, just like lean into your failures. Just make them loud, honestly. Like if you're always leaning into your failures, you're always improving yourself. Like if you're only leaning into what makes you successful, then you're never really picking up like all the things that are dragging you behind. But if you're always leaning into your failures, then that means you're always trying to get better at something you know you're not good at. So always know what your failures are and lean into them. Because if you're leaning into them, that means you're working on them.
Absolutely.
Well, I think it's important too to realize when, hey, it's not necessarily a failure. That's not what I'm interested in, and be able to recruit a team to help you out with that. And we talk about that all the time. Putting together, hey, guess what? Chris may not have been able to do what you did with Pecan Ridge, so that he recruited you to be on his team. So because you're just an incredible ball of energy.
Exactly. Yeah, you guys. If you don't have entrepreneurs in your business, then you're failing, because like then you're leaving the entire thought energy to yourself, and outside of everything else that you have to do to keep your business alive. I can't even imagine it being on one person, the entire creative direction of an entire business. Like that has to be so stressful. So you have to have your entrepreneurs, and that doesn't even mean your internal team. That also means your external network, face-to-facing with them, asking them questions. And when you do feel like, hey, I'm in a bit of a rough spot, reach out to anyone and everyone.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because that's somebody asked me, they're like, what's the hardest thing about your job? And my main thing was, I was like, there's no one to bounce ideas off of.
Right.
My dog does not do a great job at that. When I was designing my website and my logo, I literally was calling my mom every day. And I was like, hey, I just texted you a bunch of stuff. Tell me what you think.
Right.
We are in Lubbock. And with one thing, Lubbock, I've noticed, like being in the Lubbock Chamber of Commerce, stuff like that. I mean, if you stood up on a table at a Lubbock Chamber of Commerce event and said, I need help with my business, I guarantee you there'd be like 30 people that would just like swarm around you and be like, how can we help?
Yes.
And so like it kind of maybe a little bit scary, but like definitely asking for help is a huge, huge help. Lubbock will help.
I just picture Dan Bays getting on top of the table and just like screaming at the middle of the chamber. So that's why I don't know why that image flashed, but
Dan Bays would use its radio voice though, and
seriously,
listen to the radio voice. It would be good. I've got a question from Mike Jones here. Let me read it. I've got a question for Dylan. How did he get associated with Pecan Ridge? And so this is two questions, Mike. And when did he realize he had the ability to represent like he does?
So to your, let's go with the first question. So I was actually brought into Pecan Ridge. Actually, it's funny that you say that about Chris, because the reason I got brought in is because he emailed me and he was like, hey, this is where I'm at in life. I've got about 10, 15 more years until I'm ready to retire. In that 10 and 15 years, I really don't want to work for anyone else. I really don't want to deal with anyone's BS. And I found this place, but what I want to do right now, I just don't have the energy or the desire to make it into what it needs to be made into. So is this something you're interested in? And that's actually how I got to be a part of Pecan Ridge, is because we kind of knew that there was a gold mine here and someone had to dig for gold, right? To your second question, honestly, and I don't mean to be a pity party, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We're all millennials and we all like have like victimhood status all the time. I honestly don't feel like I'm that great at what I do. And I understand what people say of me and I understand the feedback that I receive, but internally it doesn't feel like I'm as good as what people say. So I guess I struggle with that personally, but yeah.
Well, and just to give you some of the millennial feedback, right? We all think that you are doing phenomenal, and at the end of the day, we realize that everybody has these internal kind of struggles and things like that. Like, am I good enough, or am I doing this? And we want to tell you, yeah, you're doing a great job. And, at the same time, being practical, we understand that if you feel like you need to improve as well, everybody needs to improve. I know I need to improve on things. And, as long as you're keeping that mindset, then I think that, it's at least healthy to say, okay, I need improvement all the time. But, I think, we all struggle with a little bit of that. And especially sometimes you're like, what am I doing here?
Well, and also, I think being uncomfortable is a virtue.
Yes.
Because if you're not obsessed with being great, then you're okay with mediocrity. So if there's not a little bit of uncomfortableness whenever you do anything that matters, honestly, I think you're doing it wrong. You just don't care, because if you do feel uncomfortable, that tells you that you care, and that's what makes you. That's what makes you strive every single time you get out there and do your job.
Yes, and if you're uncomfortable in what you're doing or a situation, that will make you more aware of what you're doing, and you'll probably execute just a little bit better. Because I'm pretty sure it was The Art of War. That one of the rules is you put your men in basically like life or death situations, because then they either like live or they don't, and they'll choose, kind of a thing. So basically just always put your business in life or death situations and execute.
Absolutely.
I know that's scary, but that's what we do, I'll be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I was going to kind of follow up with the how did you get involved in the business kind of thing with kind of an imaginary scenario just to scare the crap out of people, I guess. But what would have happened if Chris wouldn't have hired someone to do what you do, even like somebody else not doing that, but like literally if Chris just tried to run this himself, and I'm just talking in general, if a business owner had tried to do this themselves without hiring a team around them, what do you think that picture looks like?
Oh, it's absolutely impossible. Like I couldn't do it without Chris. I really couldn't. Like what he does at the office, I personally, I don't have that mindset. I can't do it. I absolutely can't do it. So like without each other, like we would just like, it wouldn't, I don't think it's a solid like $300,000, like sit on your butt and do nothing business. If that's what you want to do, if there's only one person, it takes two people. Our business takes two people. There has to be someone internally and there has to be someone externally. There just has to. There's too much. So we have to have each other.
Kind of that same thing. There's a lot of work that goes into this podcast, and Cory does a whole lot of it. He will blow up my phone all weekend. I spend the weekends at my shop working on cars. That's my thing. And he blows up my phone the entire weekend, like coming up with new documents and plans and stuff like. And he took like a little little one paragraph little sentence I wrote into text and like threw it all up on a Google Doc in like this massive like beautiful format and everything. And I'm just like, I wouldn't have done that.
He said, but it's only 18 pages long.
But but it's like I think that having the two different people, they're both going to be good at two different things. There are multiple different things, obviously, and one person's going to go, "Geez, that sounds terrible," and the other person's going to go, "That sounds awesome."
Yes.
And
Yes.
letting everybody do what they're passionate about by having those multiple avenues allows for everything to be done with a lot of passion and a lot of care, and it makes it effortless versus sitting there. If you told me to like build a Google Doc with all the stuff that he put in there,
I would take forever. I would never get it done, guys.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like introverts and extroverts.
I could get 1,000 people to look at it, but I would never create it.
Exactly. So I think that's the biggest thing that's about partnerships and about having employees that are, like you said, entrepreneurs. If you learn their strengths, learn their weaknesses, you can augment each other on such a level. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and one of the thoughts I've been kind of playing around with, and so it might be a little rocky, is not necessarily finding someone that is an opposite to you, but that is an opposite to your style. So like Chris and I have a very similar personalities, but the way we express those personalities and our style is complete 180. So having someone where like you both understand where you're coming from, but you'd approach it totally differently, that like really, really, really helps. And having it that way like kind of cuts out on a lot of the like the fights or like the drama that could happen, because like you each understand where you're coming from.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Cory.
Well, I was going to say that's an important dynamic and distinction to have, right? If you got too similar of personality, there's a couple of things that could happen. You're going to bump heads a lot, and then second thing is you're going to say, "Does this sound good?" "Yeah, that sounds good because I got the same personality as you," and so you're never going to actually improve because of some critical thinking there. But so that distinction that you just made. As small as you may have thought it was when you said it, that's huge. And the fact that you found someone that's going to bounce things off of each other and kind of do that, that's vital. And it's awesome that you kind of materialize that relationship, especially because it's very rare, I think.
Yeah, and it really helps because I have so many ideas. Like I could just like do 100 things a day. It really helps me edit because I know that, okay, when I approach Chris with an idea, I have to have it ready to go. Like it has to be bomb. I have to like know what I'm doing. I have to know where it's going, and I have to know how it's making money. And I don't just like, here's an idea, hope it goes. Like I know I have to present it to someone. I know it has to like be effective, that presentation. So that, like it really just helps on like editing a lot of the things that entrepreneurs have trouble with.
Well, and real fast, let's grab what Philip was about to say.
I was just saying, if you want to kind of think about it like that, everybody's kind of got a different way of solving problems. So you think about it, if you got a mechanical engineer in the room, he's going to solve the problem one way. If you have a chemical engineer in the room, he's going to solve it another way. If you have an IT guy in the room, he's going to solve it another way.
Exactly.
But those are great things because then everyone's going to go, oh, this is a good way, this is a good way. No, I never thought about doing it that way. I actually didn't know you could even do that. And having that synergy where you're all kind of on the same page because you're all basically engineers. But, but everyone's got different ways to solve the same problem. And everybody's solution is going to have advantages, disadvantages, and caveats.
Well, and I've got a drastic case study on that food service creation business. There was some fermentation going on. And, with the fermentation process and the aging of spirits and alcohols, it's not ready until it's ready. And so when you bring in a CFO to increase your cash flow, the CFO is going to say, well, we're going to drive production on the bottling line. So I don't want the bottling line not working. We need to pick the readiest of the fermentation products, right? Well, that's not how that works. So what happens is if nobody checks that idea and says, hey, wait a second, this is a company where we thrive on quality and we don't want to pick the readiest because it's not really ready. And we can't drive business through the bottling line and have that checks and balances. If nobody checks that CFO and says that's not a good idea, then what happens is that business is no longer in business because they were making not great products and things like that. So, I mean, I think it's super valuable to have those checks and balances. I wanted to really quickly have Dylan explain what an entrepreneur is, because we've said it so many times, and some of our audience may not know what an entrepreneur is.
So an entrepreneur are those on your internal team that are really excited by your company, by its mission, and always have ideas on how to grow and how to do things differently. So for example, me specifically, Pamela and Peggy are like my personal entrepreneurs. They're always having ideas about gift baskets, about sponsorships, about like anything and everything. They will just sit around all day and come up with ideas while they're working. It's absolutely fantastic. And just to know that you have people inside your business working on your business like that is so valuable. I mean, like seriously, so valuable. You just, especially if your company like creates that passion within your team. I mean, like if you're seeing entrepreneurs thrive and grow within your company, that means you're doing something right. So when people come to you with a whole bunch of ideas all the time, every day, like, yeah, it can be frustrating as a business owner, especially when you're trying to get things done. But like, seriously, never, ever, ever stop cultivating that, ever.
Absolutely. And I've always had the mindset of no matter who I work for, that's my name on the front of the building. And if you have that mindset, or if your employees have that mindset that that's their name on the front of the building, they take ownership. I think that's very valuable, and you should hone that in, and just like Chris does with you, it's got to be a well thought out idea before you bring it to them. Well, man, we are running out of time here. Where can people find you on the internet and in person? Where can they find you?
So in person, basically anywhere that there is a Lubbock local restaurant or retail establishment, I'll probably be there at least once a month. Just kidding though. On Facebook, facebook.com/Lubbock Pecan Ridge, or just go to our new website. It is so sexy, y'all. I know you want to check it out. www.pecanridge.com. Yeah, we're all over the web. If y'all haven't joined our Facebook, seriously though, guys, it's a hoot and a half. Y'all should really join it.
Cool, Dylan. And I've been Cory Myers with Lubbock Consulting. You can find us on Lubbock Consulting on Facebook and lubbockconsulting.com.
And Philip Robb with Robb Technology Group, Robb Technology Group on Facebook, and robtech.io is our website.
Heck yeah, Cory, Phil, I cannot thank you enough for this opportunity. I seriously appreciate it. Y'all are some of the brightest minds in our city, so I thank you for being able to sit down with you.
It was a lot of fun to have you on the show,
yeah,
that's for sure.
That was fun,
man. Absolutely. And I'll tell you this, we've got another rock star, and we had the rock star today, Dylan himself, right? But, on Thursday, we've got another rock star, Kayla Sprayberry from Hub Funding Solutions is going to teach us all kinds of financing things with the COVID-19, SBA, the PPP, what is that, the payroll protection plan?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, if you're only listening to one episode this week, put this one away and listen to Kayla's, because she has got some info for you.
She's amazing.
And I bet if you order now, you could be snacking on some pecans while you're watching that show.
There is someone who has been paying attention to the show, folks.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know I might.
Right.
I was wanting some this whole show.
Wrote that down as soon as I said it. No.
I tell you what, Dylan, we really enjoyed having you on today. And because this is live on Facebook, it will be recorded. And so if you are joining us later, please feel free to comment and share, and we'll try to get to your comments and things like that in the future.
Like, love, follow, and share. It's the lifeblood of our industry, y'all.
Absolutely. Dylan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, see you guys later. Bye.